Welcome, everyone. It's Friday again, TGIF. Welcome to Friday's Inspiration. We are here talking about identity crisis. We have been in a long period of going inward, and a lot of people are revealing new identities as they start to um, unravel and uncover their new, it's not new, but their radiance and their brilliance. It's been there all along. They just haven't known because of all the debris on top of it. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am an international energy expert, and I've created my awakening, if you will, through a long journey of leaving a religious cult and starting a support group where I supported cult members, ex-cult members for 9 years. I've worked extensively with ayahuasca, broke through the Hawkins Scale and created a new scale of for those of you who don't know about the Hawkins Scale, it's a scale of human consciousness and awareness. And so I've broken through that scale in 2012 so that now we have unlimited possibilities, like the scale goes to infinity. So today we're talking about the 3 signs that you might be in an identity crisis. So hello from London, Roma, and Kiana. I think that's what it is. Great to have you here. So as far as this identity crisis, so a lot of people are revealing this new identity in themselves. And I would say there's 3 basic symptoms that people will feel that are part of this awakening emerging. And so one is feeling very blank or vacant, or like there's confusion. That's another one. So as we are I know that when I worked with my mentor, and he was doing a lot of taking out old programs, because that's a lot of what we're doing right now, is we're eliminating old programs that we thought defined us. And so as we eliminate these programs, and I was working with my mentor, I noticed this feeling of just being blank. Like I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad, it was just like flat. So that's one very common symptom of this awakening and identity crisis, where you don't quite know what to believe. It's just like flat. There's nothing there to grasp anymore. Another very common symptom would be feeling confused. So oftentimes, I think a big part of this awakening and discovering who we are is we also discover who we're not. So about 90-95% of what you think and feel is not even yours. And so as we start to awaken and we start to wake up to our true brilliance and radiance, we start to realize that a lot of the things that we're thinking, believing, feeling are not even ours. And so if they're not ours, then who do they belong to, right? But then as we release these, then we get to discover who we really are, like what's underneath all of this confusion and chaos and sometimes fear and anger and sadness. That's not even our energy. So those are some really common symptoms. And then another one, which can be for a lot of reasons, but I've discovered that it's a very common symptom with this sort of awakening, is feeling really tired. So as we're going through this transition, it takes a lot of energy for one. It's like when you're healing a deep wound, and all your resources have to go to that wound and heal it. So it doesn't leave a lot of energy resources for other things. And it's the same thing with this spiritual healing, is as we're going deep into these deeper places, our bodies require a lot of energy to go inward and heal these places that are wanting to be seen and heard and recalibrated. It's like when you're going through the jungle for the first time. You have to bushwhack your way with a machete and even create a path. And that's how it is when we start going on a new path, is that we have to create the path. And that's the habits that we create, the things that we do over and over on a continual basis that create these new neural pathways. And so the more often we go down that path, the deeper the groove gets, the wider, and the easier it is to get back on track and traverse that new track again. So that's a really important part of our healing. Is so oftentimes we will feel very tired. There's three areas though that I wanted to talk about, that where people might show this, or where they would see this identity crisis showing up. So a lot of us believe we are the jobs that we do. And, if we've been on a job for a certain length of time, or even if we've been an entrepreneur and we've been on a certain path, we may discover that it doesn't feel like it fits anymore. Like it just, like if you go to a job, you're just kind of sick of this thing. It's kind of a dead dog, you're kind of tired of doing the same thing over and over. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, a very similar thing can happen. But it's really, what's happening is it's less about that job and more about us. As we shift and change and grow, we become more aware of what's not aligned around us. And if we've been in a job for a really long time and we're growing, our job is staying the same. And so there's going to be greater dissonance between us and our job, or us and our profession, or us and how we've been making money, if it doesn't fit anymore. And so a lot of you are creating, we create our identities around what we do for a living. And so this is one big place that I've noticed this identity crisis is showing up. I had a client show up the other day, and he had been in this job for 20 years, and he was just like, it just didn't fit anymore. And he just was tired of going there. And so I was letting him know too that, because he's already put that intention out into the universe, that is already going to start manifesting. And so, sometimes we can create unconsciously, and then, we would show up for work one day, and then we've been fired from that job that we hated. Or we can act more on purpose. We can create more consciously and start moving in the direction that we do desire. And even if we don't know what it is, just keep leaning into the fog. There must be some direction that you resonate with. You just keep leaning into the fog. And as you're stepping onto those stepping stones, the stones don't get revealed from beginning to end, right? We lean into that fog, and one step gets revealed. And then we lean in a little bit more, and then another step gets revealed. We don't need to know the how all the way to the end to know how we are going to get to where we really desire to go. There's a second place where there's a huge identity crisis that a lot of women are facing, and that is with that empty nest syndrome. So, our kids grow up, and, we've spent 20 years devoted to these children, and then all of a sudden they're poof, gone. And so if you haven't been creating some of your own hobbies, some of your own likes and interests that you pursue, your own personal friends, then it's going to feel very empty. You're going to feel lost, because your whole identity, who you think you are, was this mother. And of course that is an aspect of you, but that's not who you are. It's maybe what you do, what you did, but there's so much more to you than just being a mother, right? So that's another place where I notice a lot of women are suffering from this identity crisis. The last place that I wanted to talk about, and this is because I know a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses tend to watch what I do here. And that in and of itself is an identity crisis, right? Once you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, that has been your entire identity. How you think, how you feel, what you do, everything is devoted to that mindset. And so when you lift yourself up and out of that, you have to redefine who you are. What do you believe? I know that when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I wrote a book, but I never finished it at the time. But it was just this huge catharsis. It was like just a huge purge of me trying to figure out, what do I believe, what's real, what works, because when you leave the Witnesses, it doesn't mean everything you've ever been taught gets thrown out with bathwater. There's a lot of good things that we all learned there. How to be forgiving and kind and generous, and lots of things. Studious, learned how to be a good speaker, how to navigate complete strangers knocking on their doors. There's lots of good things that we learned. And so, however, it infiltrates so many aspects of our life that many people will feel lost, and they will feel like they don't know which direction to go. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm curious about some of you, if you are feeling some identity crisis, or you can relate to any of the things that I'm talking about. The last thing that I wanted to address were some influences. There's about 5 influences that can alter how we feel, so that it's not us. But if you don't know that, you might think it's you. So let me give you some examples. One would be how people energetically cord to you. Now, when someone is cording to you, especially if it's up here in that 6th chakra, where they want to know what's on your mind, maybe they want you to see things their way, that when they're plugged into your 6th chakra here, it's going to create a tremendous amount of confusion. It might even create that whole foggy feeling where you can't even think straight. So that's just one area where cording can affect you. If someone's plugged into your heart, it's going to make you feel kind of guilty, like if you're not doing something. The person who's pulling that cord can make you feel guilty for maybe not visiting them or not doing something for them. And so that feeling that we have is not even our feeling. But you wouldn't know that, and you wouldn't know the difference until that energy cord is removed. And then you can feel the difference between you pre-cords and you post-cords, like after the cords have been released. Excuse me. So that is one really big influence, is these energy cords. As a matter of fact, I think someone's cording to my throat chakra. So hang on just a second here. Okay. Let's see, 4 other influences too. And these can all be measured. These can all be assessed to know how many of these you have, where they are affecting your energy field. And a few others are fear entities. These are entities that are used by this oppressive 1% influence on the planet. And these fear entities can plug into our energy field, causing us to feel afraid. Now, being afraid or fearful can show up in so many ways, a million ways. You can feel tired. You can feel unmotivated, maybe a little depressed, maybe just sort of stuck in general. Anything that makes you feel like you can't move forward, that is most likely fear. So that's the many faces of fear. So there's the fear entities, and then there are the outgrown guides. So we've been, all growing and expanding, especially those of you who come here are generally very interested in your growth, your evolution, your expansion. And when we do that, we outgrow the way that we've been working with certain guides, maybe for many, many lifetimes. But that's how fast we're growing right now. But if we don't know how to release those outgrown guides, they're going to be keeping us in the old paradigms, and they generally relate to how we've been using our power. So that's the biggest thing that we're emerging into, is this new paradigm of how we're using our power. So that is a very big influence. These outgrown guides, want to get those removed so that we can step into this new part of us that we've been working really hard to attain, but these things are kind of holding us back. A fourth area is the control beings. So these are used by the reptilian energies, and these operate a lot like fear entities, except their energy is much bigger, more insidious, harder to find, kind of slippery energy. But they'll make us fight for our stories, and they will. They like it when, like, if I have control beings and you have control beings, the control beings will start to fight with each other and argue with each other. You might find yourself arguing with people that, like, why are we even arguing? What is the point here? And it's because it's not even you. So this is another way that these outer influences that are not you can be affecting your energy field. And it can create an identity crisis. Like, you think you're that, but there's a part of you that knows you're not. And then the last one is discarnate beings. That's basically dead people. So if you have some dead people that are kind of hanging around you, it could be relatives. It could be like a grandmother, or maybe a parent that passed away, or a dear friend. That, and not always is it a bad influence. I know I have some discarnate beings that are like my guardian angels now. They're very great and helpful guides for me. I'm not saying that all of these discarnate beings are bad, but oftentimes there can be those that are maybe very angry. That's a very common one, where they're very angry and they found a host who they can channel their anger through. Like, they don't have bodies anymore, so that's like they love to channel through other people and be able to keep expressing their things that they're working on. I know about a week ago, oops, I don't know if I muted that or not. About a week ago, I was helping my sister out, who's now living in an assisted living place, and she was very upset about moving into this new place. She wasn't ready, and it's just hard, et cetera, et cetera. She's very, very sad, very sad. And so I discovered that she had this discarnate being, and this was very, very sad little being. And I helped her remove this, and she stopped being sad. I actually went up and visited her the day after the call, and she wasn't sad anymore, and she couldn't even pull up that sadness. So these are just some of the ways that you can be having this identity crisis. So the 5 things that can influence that feeling like you're not quite yourself is 1, people courting to you, 2, fear entities, 3, outgrown guides, 4, control beings, and 5, discarnate beings or dead people. So those can have the biggest influence, and they can easily be found and removed. That's the good news, right? So I'm curious what some of you have to say about your own identity crisis, and if you could relate to this. Yes, I'm glad you're on too, Beth. Nice to see you live. And so Kiana is saying that she's been exhausted all year. Well, yes, there's been a lot of energies going on, and that exhaustion can also be the fear that's on, not the fear, it really relates more to the anger on the planet. And when we don't know how to release all of this excess anger, people will do one of 2 things. They'll either try to manage it, or they will sort of leave their body, so they're not fully occupying their bodies, and operate from that level. because it feels uncomfortable having all of this anger in your energy field. So that can be a very common reason that people are very tired. Let's see, what is Lynn? I can relate to being tired a lot of the time, brain fog, being disinterested, though things feel a little lighter today than recent weeks or so. Yes, that tired feeling, that was one of the first of the three main symptoms that I was talking about, was feeling tired. What did I say? It was tired, confused, and empty. So feeling tired is a very, very common symptom. Hey, Rosalind, nice to have you here. Let's see, Monica, last time there was a lot. Feeling a bit nauseous today and sleepy. So yes, that nausea is part of that solar plexus, what we got going on at our solar plexus. And the which can also relate to things that could be courting in there. So we weren't doing specific, questions today, but I am curious if it relates to the specific things that I was talking about today. So in your case, you have a fear entity in that solar plexus, so that's creating some of that nausea and being controlling. Yeah, that's the main one. So yes, this can really affect you in a very profound way. Rosalind, I feel like I've shed 5 identities in the past month. Yes, exactly. So as we're continuing to grow, it's kind of like being an actor, and we keep trying on new coats and new, like what might feel good to us. And that's not to say that this outer thing is now our new identity, but there's different aspects of us that can be revealed through this play that we're in here on planet Earth. And so that's kind of the fun part, is that we can take on different identities as part of our exploration, as part of our growth, as part of our expansion. And that just makes life more interesting, right? More interesting and fun, trying on these new identities. And but doesn't necessarily mean who we are. All right, so Kiana, I did a lot of energy work this last year, plus also got braces. So when I look at myself, I don't recognize myself physically as well as energetically, definitely having an identity crisis. Well, that's a great one. Yeah. So, a lot of people got to look at their identity in a physical way over this past year. A lot of people put on extra weight. They weren't exercising like they were. And so it's like they became this whole other person that they didn't recognize. Like, who is this person? So that was another very real way that things can be changed. Darren, I think this is, I forgot who this is. I know who you are, but I've forgotten the name. I feel depressed here and envious of others, therefore upset. Yeah. So maybe feeling like you're missing out on something, or people are further ahead than you, kind of beating yourself up like you should be further along, or you're not where you'd like to be. And so that a lot of that relates to this identity crisis, where you're not quite sure who you are, like, where am I in all of this? So today we are going to address, in our MediClearing, we're going to address, let's see, which side am I on? I'm backwards in the camera here. We are going to address many of these issues that relate to this identity crisis. So we're going to be measuring fear and anger and the false ego. This is another big one that can be measured. This is all part of the vibrational altitude report that I do. This is just a few of the 40. There's 40 different things I measure in there. So if you're interested in getting your temperature report, you can always order that, and you don't need to answer any questions or speak to me or anything. You just need to order the report. I tap into your energy field, and I will give you a reading, and not only letting you know what the percentages are of things, but also what's blocking the energy. Like, why are you specifically like elevated, maybe in your martyr or anger, or how many people are corded to you, or etc. And it also comes with a 30-minute conversation so that we could, if you're a healer, go at it. I tell you all the places where the energy is stuck. So then when we go for that 30-minute conversation, you can find out how well you did with your tools. Were you effective in being able to move out those energies? And so this is where you can get that vibrational altitude report for those of you who are interested. And so let's measure a few things. Let's check the level of fear. That's at 50%. The level of anger, 95%. So if you're not feeling that anger, like if you're not just feeling completely annoyed, then and angry, then you're probably not in your body all the way. So let's take a read on that. So about 50% occupying the body, but we want to occupy the body 100%. So that's sort of the point, or a big part of running your energy, is to help you to get into your body. A lot of people are using meditation to leave their bodies. That's counterintuitive. That's counterproductive, because you might feel good temporarily because you're not connected to what's going on. But then when it's over, you have two choices: either come back in your body where it's all uncomfortable, or stay barely connected to your body and operate like that. So neither of which is very embodied, or it's not very, the word enlightened is coming up, but you're not really stepping into the fullness of you if you're not fully occupying your body. This is where all the answers and information are, right? So if we're not connected to this, then we're not getting all the messages that are coming in. So do this for those of you who are on Facebook, just in case. And also, thank you for the reminder, Roma. We have the new 20-minute meditation that I've been talking about for so long. It's finally complete. And so that new 20-minute meditation is available for free for you to be able to use this as a tool just to practice this process of running your energy. It's a very powerful tool. I've heard so many amazing stories about, better communication, about manifesting money, about new jobs, on and on. It's endless. So it's a very powerful tool. And for those of you who are new to this whole process, this is what you can do on a daily basis to clear your energy, to maintain what we even do here on a weekly basis. And of course, this is more in a group setting. So that, I know there's some of you that are not like, you want more help, but on Tuesdays, you don't want to post your questions because you feel like you want more privacy. And so that is what's available in being able to work with me privately. So that is also available, but it always starts with this the 20-minute. And it starts with the vibrational altitude report, sorry. So then we know where you are, I know where you are, you know where you're at, and then we can go from there. It's just like anything. Even if you're going to get your house worked on, the contractor has to come over and assess, is there termite damage? Is there dry rot? Is there structural things that have been happening that, weren't part of the original plans? Or, there's a lot of things that have to be assessed before a contractor can go in and give you any kind of assessment of the scope of work that will be involved, or even to know how to approach a particular issue. So this is what the vibrational altitude report is. It's an assessment tool to find out exactly where you're at. Okay, so we've got, what did I say, 50% anger, and no, it was 95% anger, 50% fear, 50% in your body. Let's measure the false ego. 95. Okay, so that's really big. So there's a lot of you out here who have identified yourself as a certain thing or being a certain way, but it's not really who you are. Like, you might not, if you take this thing away, you would not know who you are. So when we can clear the false identity, the false ego, and we all have an ego, we all need our ego, which is part of how we identify ourselves, whether we identify ourselves as a man or a woman or all these other pronouns now that I don't get any of that stuff, but or, you know, a mother or a wife or a doctor, or, you know, whatever the thing is. If we take that out of the equation, then who are we? You know, a lot of you are identifying as healers. Well, if you take that out of the equation, who are you then? So that doesn't mean that you can't be a healer and not be in your ego. But what you'll notice is that it starts to change. It has a different agenda. Like, you can, let's see if I can explain this right. You can be in this process, or like being a healer, knowing that you don't really heal anybody, right? You're just helping to uncover people's radiance and their brilliance. Let's see, hang on just a second here. Rosalind, what have you got? This is so great. I've really been looking to see if there's anything with my ego blocking me during all of these retrogrades. Yes, that's for sure. Vanessa from El Salvador. Well, welcome. I don't think I've seen you here. Going through a breakup. Yes, that would be a huge identity crisis if your identity has been the girlfriend or the partner. And a lot of times we lose our identities, right, to get the other person's approval. We start merging with them, doing what they like, and we sacrifice all the things we love to do so that we can make them happy. And then we've lost our identity. We don't even know who we are anymore. I want to know if you see something about the possibilities in my future. Been feeling negative energies around, want to know about that. So we're not doing specific energy clearings for specific people today. We're kind of addressing an overall issue. And but I am a bit curious about how some of you have been feeling that identity crisis. So that will be addressed in the overall energy clearing that we're going to do, Vanessa. Because we're going to be clearing that false ego, the anger, the fear, getting us back into our bodies. And clearing, we'll see how many of these energies we can clear. Boy, time has gone so fast. So let's get going. Let's get started. And we'll see how much we can clear today. So we're going to we always start this process of running your energy with getting ultra grounded. So go ahead and put down that grounding cord that goes from the base of your spine all the way to the center of the planet. So I'm in the background here helping to make sure you stay grounded. You're releasing these energies. I'm the second set of eyes. And then you're going to send those roots down from your feet deep into the earth. It's going to wrap around the planet before it comes up through your feet and your legs, your thighs. And then when it reaches that grounding cord, it's going to go down the grounding cord. So you have 2 loops of energy up your legs. And then we're going to see if you have a worry circle. Yes, it goes out to the second layer. There's a lot of anger and rage in there. So that's some of that anger we were talking about. So we're just going to dump it down the grounding cord. It doesn't serve us holding excess anger. Anger is useful if we use it to move us to action. But if we're just holding on to it, it's just hard on the nervous system. Okay, great. So we let go of that anger. So now we're going to bring pure source down through the creative rings above your head, where your intentions for your clear identity, who are you, can be revealed. So we're bringing pure source down through these rings into the crown where it's stopping. So we're going to go out to the 15th layer. So this 1% energy is trying to occupy our crown, which is where we give ourselves permission to have, be, and do with our life as we choose. But this 1% has us in another kind of identity, that free range slavery identity. And so a lot of us are identifying with this program on the planet where we're just the free range slave. We just working hard for the machine. Okay, good. So now we're bringing pure source down through the crown and that 6th chakra, where there can be a lot of confusion. So the congestion right there is going out to that 15th layer. So this 1% energy is creating a lot of confusion, and it will create confusion so that we don't really even know who we are anymore, or at all. Like maybe we never got to know who we are. So as we're bringing pure source down through that 6th chakra, 5, 4, into the heart, we're going to go out to that 3rd layer. So a lot of our identity is tied up in trying to prove who we are, what we are, trying to prove our worth and value by what we do. And that is not necessarily who we really are. Like if we're trying to get the approval of others, then we're trying to jump through some hoops that it's not related to who we really are. We're just trying to get someone's approval. It could relate to who we are, but there's a different agenda behind it, right? Okay. 4, 3. So now bringing that pure source down through the heart, into that solar plexus, down into the 2nd chakra, where it's stopping. Out to the 15th layer. So this 1% today is having a lot of influence on this subject, our identity. So we're pulling in this energy at the 2nd chakra, because the 2nd chakra it's our energy transformer, converts energy into physical reality. It's also where the 1% is trying to create through us. And what do they want us to create? They want us to create what they feed on, their diet of anger, fear, uncertainty, anxiety. They love all that stuff because that's what they feed on. So here they are in our 2nd chakra, trying to make us angry so that they don't starve. Okay, so that pure source is coming all the way down through. Let's mix it with that earth energy right at the root. Going to bring that 50-50 mixture up the front, real close to the spine, up through the 2nd. So right at that 2nd chakra, out to the 15th layer, more of that 1% influence affecting. There's a lot of anger here. So we're going to lift this up through the central core, lift it up and out. Okay, great. As we're bringing this 50-50 mixture up through the 2nd and the 3rd and the heart, throat, 6 crown rings, through all the layers of the aura, as it merges below your feet so that the aura has a place to release to. So we're going to jump out to the 15th layer of the aura. We're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to lift this 1% influence up and out of our energy field. All right, there we go. 15. And then the 30th layer, that's that reptilian influence, up and out of that layer. And then we're going to clear, so the rest of the aura is clear. Now we're going to clear the circle of reciprocity. So that's the upper 4 chakras as they come out that right arm. So it's stopping right at the shoulder here. So you're not giving or implementing much. And that might be some of this tired energy. But receiving doesn't happen unless we start the circle with first giving. And it doesn't have to mean monetarily necessarily. Twice a week I'm here giving. And it's not with any agenda to, if I give to you, then you give to me. And, I'm in service. This is what I do, right? And so as we're bringing this energy out that right arm, then we can start receiving into that left hand. There you go, up to the elbow. So you're receiving part way, but not all the way. It stops at the elbow. So let's bring that all the way up through the shoulder, down through the front and back of the heart and the throat. So you can ask for what you need, and through that 6th chakra and the crown and through all the rings. Okay, great. So that's running your energy. And let's see. Okay, so let's remeasure some of these things to see how much we've cleared already. So let's measure fear down to 15%. We want to get all of that. So we're going to go up to that 6th chakra where there's some beliefs. All the way up to the 15th layer. So whose beliefs are those? They're not ours. That's that 1% influence. And we're going to pull in those beliefs that we have to suffer and struggle and go along with the free range slavery program like everybody else. I'm just going to drop those fears. There's a fear of the future, a fear of the unknown. And they're going to be pulling new fears for you to be afraid of because, after one kind of gets tired, they have to come up with a new one. It's been a long time ago. It was terrorists. Everything was about terrorists. We're all afraid of terrorists. And, of course, this last year, we all know what that's about. So anyway, once this starts to blow over, they're going to introduce a new thing to be afraid of, whether it's a new strain or a new whatever, or this fake alien attack. But, if people die and of people that have died in this alien attack, it will seem very real, right? But it's just like this whole thing that's going on currently. There's a much bigger picture and story and half-truths, and so it creates a lot of confusion. So at any rate, we will see what they have in store for us. So fear is down to 0. And let's see, anger, it's still at 50%. Let's go down to that root chakra where it doesn't feel safe to be on the planet. That makes us angry, right? Where we can't even feel safe at home. This is our home, is our planet. This planet is our home. So let's pull in some of this anger. If you're not using this anger, you can always tap into your anger. Removing excess anger doesn't mean that you can't get angry. You can It's available 24/7. You can use it and go from 0 to 100 just like that. So, but we're releasing the excess because it's just hard on your nervous system, and then it makes communication hard and relationships hard, and just being hard. It's just no fun when you're always angry and irritated and annoyed. Okay, great. Let's let all that go. All right. 0, great. And then let's check that false ego. It's down to 50%. Let's find some more of where that is. In the heart. Interesting. Out to that third layer. So this is, consider for yourself, what is it in your life right now that you're trying to prove to somebody else? Like you're trying to prove your worth and value in some way. And so there's this element of trying to prove something that maybe you're not. Maybe you're not this thing that you're trying to prove. Or maybe it's only one aspect of you, and there's so much more to your identity and to your ego, your how you identify. Okay, so we're just letting go of a lot of those judgments. Aliens. Yes. False ego. Still 15%. We're going to go down to that root chakra. It goes all the way out to the 25th layer. So that's a lot of fear in your root chakra that's affecting your ego in some way. I don't know how. I'm just the messenger, the finder of energies that relate to what we're talking about. So, yes, this would definitely not make you feel safe in your bodies. Yeah. So you're not your fears. That's for sure. Okay, good. False ego now. Still 15%. Still at the root, second layer. There's a lot of anger and rage. So we are not our anger and we are not our rage, right? This is something we are experiencing on the planet, and justly so. And we can let go of this excess anger that we're not using to create something that's happening, right? Most of you are not using your anger to make something happen that's correcting an injustice. And so it's all this excess anger that we're letting go of. It's not who we are. Okay, good. Now the false ego is at 0. So let's see, we've got a few more minutes here. We can check out these fear entities, control beings, and discarnate beings. We'll do those 3 because they're fast and easy to release with some black flames. So let's see how many fear entities want to get let go of with this group here. And those who will be listening out in the future will have a similar resonance. Let's see, fear entities. I'm getting there's 5. 7, 6, 5, 3, 2. In the root chakra. These are the places we're going to put this black flame to get rid of these fear entities. In the root chakra, in the 6th chakra, and in the 2nd chakra. So just imagine, you just pretend you know how to do this. We're just making this up, right? It's all made up. But it works. So just pretend that you know how to do this. We're going to put a black flame in that 6th chakra. I think I said in the heart. Was that the other place? 7, 6, heart, 2nd chakra, and root. So we got 4 places. And turn those just turn that flame up, and we're just going to start dissolving, transmuting these sphere entities. Good. So it's already, you're already gone to work. Okay, good. There's 2 left in that root chakra. It goes all the way out to that 25th layer. So however you want to imagine that flame at your root going all the way out to that 25th layer and just transmuting that energy. Okay, we've got 1 left. There's 1 left in the root, still in the root, out to that 3rd layer. So go ahead and turn on that flame, that black flame right at your root. Okay, great. Now we're at 0. And I'm also curious if you guys are noticing a difference in how you're feeling, like from when we started to now. We still got a couple more things to do here. Let's do the control beings. There's 3. So right here in the 6th chakra. So we're going to do the same thing, a black flame, heart, and root. So these control beings, they're a little more insidious, a little more powerful. But you guys are also, as you're learning, every time you come here, how powerful you are, that you have the capacity and the ability to transmute these energies just with your imagination. So go ahead and use that imagination to imagine that black flame in that 6th chakra. And I think it was 6th chakra and heart and root. And we'll just transmute all this stuff. Okay, good. And there, great job. Okay, so those, poof, gone. And last but not least, we are going to, good to have you here, Natalie, from South Africa. So you can always listen to the recording when we're done. You can just start from the beginning. And great. So Vanessa's saying that she's deeply feeling all of this, grateful for being here. We're grateful you are here. And so be sure to share this with your friends. They can come back and listen to the recording. We're here every Friday at 11:11 Pacific time to do a clearing like this on a specific topic. And then on Tuesdays, we entertain all of your specific questions for your specific issues. So pay attention to the time. The time on Tuesday always changes. So, and great. Monica's feeling, oops, here we have way more grounded, like herself again. Excellent. And great. You're all very welcome. So let's do one more thing. We're going to clear discarnate beings, so basically dead people. And 6, 5, 4, 3, I'm getting there's about 3 that want to get cleared. So let's use the violet flame for the discarnate beings. Let's go to the root chakra, and we'll see how many of these we can clear. So just imagine a violet flame right at your root chakra. We're just going to turn that up and transmute these energies. And here's another one. Yeah, so we're just going to transmute all of these energies so that you can feel more like yourself again. We're releasing all these false identities that are not you. Okay. Okay, there's still 2 left. Let's go to that 6th chakra. Use the violet flame in there. and in the heart. We could do these simultaneously. So turn those flames on in the heart and in the sixth chakra, that violet flame. I've just discovered it seems to work better with the discarnate beings, the violet flame. Okay. Okay, good. So we cleared those. See, so we just keep coming back where you keep finding new shortcuts and ways to clear things. And it's a great way to learn little bit by little bit. I'm eventually going to be starting an academy where people can actually learn more about all of this and how to do it for themselves. Of course, the book outlines the whole process, but it's different than having some like help along the way. So an academy is in the works. But until then, you can keep coming back here, get my book, do a private session with me, and keep growing that way. So Kiana, this says, this is awesome. So it's great having you. It seems like there's a lot of new people here. And thank you, Nessa, who says that her dizziness went away. Great. That dizziness was not you, right? That was a false identity. And so good to hear. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, we're doing real things here. This is not pretend woo-woo stuff. You can call it woo-woo if you want. I don't really care. But I know it works. And we're making a big difference with people in their lives and creating more clarity, more joy, more peace of mind. And we will be back on Tuesday. So use this as an opportunity, this clearing, to notice what's you and what's not you over this weekend. And start paying attention to those parts of you that are not you. And practice this process of this 20-minute process of running your energy so that you can maintain this. Is that the one? Oops. So that you can maintain this process. I'm just trying to find it, sorry. You can maintain this process, here it is, and keep your energies in a high vibration. So go off and use this weekend to be the observer of you, and so that you can find more and more of your radiance and your brilliance. So I'll meet you back here on Tuesday to entertain your specific questions, and enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. All right. Sending much love. Namaste.